Week 3 of the NFL got underway last night at JetLife Stadium. Jets destroy the Pats. We'll talk about that. Plus, we will preview the entire Week 3 slate. Cole Thompson joins us for his weekly spot on the program. It is the Jake Asman Football Show, and it starts right now.
Oh, yeah. It's time for the Jake Asman Football Show. Brought to you by BetUS. Expert betting odds and fantasy stats. So let's get into some NFL football. Brought to you by our friends at BetUS. So get your questions ready. Here's your host, Jake Asman.
Yeah, buddy. Here we go. Jake Asman Football Show presented by BetUS. Reminder, BetUS is offering a 150% sign-up bonus when you use promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. So start playing today. Cole Thompson and I are going to be giving out some picks for NFL Week 3 in just a little bit. And we say hello right now to the aforementioned Cole Thompson, who joins us every Friday on the Jake Asman Football Show. Cole, happy Football Friday. Happy Hawaiian Shirt Friday to you as well.
Happy Hawaiian Friday. Happy Jets Victory Friday, I guess, instead of Victory Monday. And congratulations, Jet fans. I am accepting apologies right now because if I told you in the offseason you don't need Brock Bowers, you need to draft an offensive lineman. How's Ola Fashanu looking this morning, ladies and gents?
Looking pretty good. He'll be the right tackle for the next couple of weeks. Morgan Moses is going to be out, but it's not season ending. So the Jets, everything's going the Jets' way, Cole, even when they suffer an injury, it's not a season-ending injury. That's when you know, because the Jets over the last 3 years, they can't win a big game without a human sacrifice in the process. So I will say that is a nice little omen after watching Aaron Rodgers torch a really good defense last night in person. My God.
Dude, you look good. I'm not going to lie. This is me trying to be as non-biased as possible because if I have to sometimes bring you back down to reality, go ahead and celebrate this morning, man. You have to feel really good about where this team is. Not only is Aaron Rodgers looking confident at the quarterback position, he also has this offense humming in the right direction. But Braylon Allen as now a number 2 complimentary back who's got that bruiser mentality and is not afraid to tuck and run. Youngest player in the league with the oldest player in the league working side by side. That chemistry is just popping at the right times. Mike Williams healthy is a really good, nice secondary piece opposite of Garrett Williams. Tyler Conklin had a couple plays last night. Defensively, it doesn't feel like that even though you are missing some players, you're not missing a ton of talent. You got 7 sacks on the night. You also were able to get a ton of 3-and-outs. You kept them out of the end zone, 24-3 final score. And you look at the schedule, momentum is a big thing, Jake. You and I both know this. Games against the Broncos, Vikings, before you take on the Bills and the Steelers, all before taking on the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Lots to like about this team potentially making a big-time move before you see them actually start dominating in the AFC. It is not far-fetched to believe that the Jets of what you saw last night, if it's sustainable against more intimidating defenses, and you will face off against them, they're going to be a threat to win it all in the AFC this year. And it may be 1 year, but I think most Jet fans will take 1 year of sheer dominance than another year of just fumbling the bag.
No doubt. Look, when the schedule came out, I felt like 4-1 going into that showdown on Monday night against the Buffalo Bills was certainly possible. They had the tough loss against the Niners on opening night. Rodgers, though, since then, shaked off the rust. And, Cole, last night, forget just forget good quarterback play for Jet standards. That was otherworldly quarterback play for anyone's standards. He was MVP Aaron Rodgers.
I think the big thing that people are going to look at is say, well, look at Aaron Rodgers and how he's playing at age 40. He looked like he was 32. He looked like
running last night, man. He was moving out of the pocket. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
His consistency to be able to slide at the right time. He's not afraid to get a little choppy and not afraid to go ahead and get a little bark backing. I love that intimidation factor. I love that people were freaking out about him and Robert Saleh on the sidelines. No, he set the standard that Saleh has set for years inside that locker room. So he gets it. I think that he's embraced who he is as part of this organization. I think that he realizes that this is a team that when you heard in the broadcast last night, we want to go ahead and make a culture change. We want to go ahead and show what we're made of. I think that he already knows what this team can be. And now it's just time to put it on the field for 4 quarters to let everyone know what they will be. There's a difference between can and will. They certainly last night showed what they could. I think over the next few weeks, especially against Denver, especially against Buffalo, primetime game against Josh Allen, that's where you show what you will be. And by that point, I think the rest of the NFL is taking notice. You should, because of there's not a major flaw with this roster right now. There's a lot of maybe wonder what if it gets better, but there's not a lot of can it get worse. This is where you feel really good about a team.
Some perspective on the Jets win. So they had 400 plus yards of offense last night, 40 minutes of time of possession, 0 turnovers, 0 touchdowns allowed, 7+ sacks. No other team in the Super Bowl era has done all that in a single game. So this was a dominating performance where 24-3 doesn't even probably accurately depict the domination the Jets had. That's the thing. There were still some plays out there they left on the field. Mike Williams almost had a touchdown. Greg Zuerlein missed a field goal. They had a penalty that killed their opening drive when Rodgers was humming 6 for 6 to start. I kind of set them back. They ended up having a punt. So, yeah, I mean, look, people said the Patriots have a good defense, so I don't want to hear the goalpost being moved that New England sucks. We know their offense is limited, and there's a certain way they got to play with running the ball and controlling the tempo if they're going to win. But miss me with the Pats suck, this or that. A lot of people were telling me it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be hard for the Jets to win. They're going to have to gut it out. And no, they handled business, and that's a great sign for a team that's still learning how to win around a Hall of Fame quarterback who looked like it last night.
Jake, when you look at the numbers just overall, they won in every single category. First downs, passing, rushing. They were great on third down efficiency. That's a team that you know can be very dangerous when they're able to keep momentum and the time of possession in their favor. That's what you saw from Aaron Rodgers. That's what you saw from this Jets team. The other part is you don't need to see that consistent number one. So last year, it always felt like if you weren't getting a Garrett Wilson open, you had no shot at the passing game. If you didn't have Breece Hall moving the chains, you had no shot on the ground. Well, you don't worry about that at this point. Allen Lazard has a great relationship with Rodgers. We know that when they play together, it's an actual promising result. So maybe he will be worth the money at the end of the day because if he leads you deep into a postseason push. Mike Williams, fully healthy. I mean, the dude was a 1,000-yard yak machine out in Los Angeles. Why can't he be that now with New York? You also got to talk about Braylon Allen. I mean, the dude is just, in my opinion, the way I watch him play is a lot like Muscle Hamster, Doug Martin 2.0, and that's your secondary running back. You got Breece Hall as your thunder. You got Braylon Allen as now your combination, like Kusumo Kambarambe punch. Like, he's everything that you want, and the defense is still the defense. And as long as Robert Saleh is okay with maybe giving up a touchdown to secure a touchdown on the other side, that's where you go ahead and change it up. I bring this up in college all the time. When you look at USC and LSU over the last few years, they would probably trade away part of their scoring offense if their scoring defense allowed them to stay closer in games because they probably would have won a national title. It's the same thing with the Jets. You're okay with giving up a touchdown if it means you're getting a touchdown on the offensive side in return.
No question. I mean, I think that's well said. It just, this team is complete. And Will McDonald last night, Cole, he has, a bunch more sacks. He's got 5.5 sacks the last 2 games. So they got the players, man. They got the team. They got the scheme. They got the quarterback. And you and I know this. It's quarterback league. You either have one or you don't. The Jets seemingly have one for the first time.
Jake, you know what they have? You know what they have? They have the confidence now. And that is a dangerous thing to have up in the Big Apple. They have the confidence.
Man, this is a football show, but after the Jets play the first game of week 3 like that, we had to lead with that. All right, Cole, let's get to the week 3 preview. Then you and I will give some picks at the end. And basically, here's my piece of advice. Listen to what Cole says because he is red hot in our pick segment to start the year. We were going through it before the show. Cole is 5-1 to start the year. We give out 3 games at the end of every show. Cole, 5-1, me, 2-4. So I gotta get hot this weekend. We'll see if Cole could stay hot when we make our picks. But
I should be 6-0. I hate the Texans for not covering at the very end.
Well, why don't we start with the Texans then in our kind of week 3 preview here? Because they play one of the more intriguing games of the entire slate. Texans and Vikings, 2 undefeated teams. CJ Stroud has looked like, CJ Stroud. And Sam Darnold has looked like the former number 3 pick in the draft. Is it fool's gold? Is it finally starting to come together for him? Who knows? But the Vikings are undefeated. They're at home for the second straight week after they upset the Niners last week. This could be a tough game for Houston. They are a 2-point road favorite, though, Cole, going into this one. What's the feeling in Houston where you are based on Texans-Vikings?
There's confidence, but at the same time, you have to realize that one of the biggest assets toward this team this year is having a good run game. And they're probably not going to have that on Sunday. You don't have Dameon Pierce. He's out with a hamstring injury. Joe Mixon with the hip drop tackle in Sunday's game against Chicago still has not practiced. It's not seeming like he's going to play. So you turn into Cam Akers. And Cam Akers, in somewhat, would say this is a revenge game because if he played for Minnesota last year where he ruptured his Achilles, but also he doesn't treat it like that. And he believes that he still has the ability to be a legit number 1 running back. But we got to see it on the field. That's the main element. You can say a lot of things behind closed doors, but when the lights are at their brightest and you're playing in an environment that knows how to blow that horn on third down and kind of rouse up the crowd and make it a little bit too loud for you to even think, can you deliver in those moments? I think the other thing that's really important here is watching how does this offensive line handle the stunts run by Minnesota. Keep in mind, Jake, that right now Minnesota is one of the best when it comes to passing downs, and they're also great in adding pressures. They lead the NFL with 11 sacks before last night's game against the New York Jets. For the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. So it's a really good matchup to where they have 4 dudes that can get to the backfield and create pressures against C.J. Stroud. Jonathan Grenard, a former Texan, Andrew Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, the Alabama rookie. There's talent in that front seven. And Brian Flores last week basically minimized a San Francisco offense that was extremely potent. And who runs that same offense? Houston, in multiple ways underneath Bobby Slowick. So it is going to be a chess match, I think, throughout this game. With Sam Darnold, my big thing is that it's like, you hear Tom Brady talk about when we have to force quarterbacks to play early because if it feels like that an organization wants to save their job. I don't think it's fool's gold that he is feeling comfortable in this offense that's very similar to what it started with last year in San Francisco. I don't believe that he's going to end up being this next franchise guy and have a resurgence like Ryan Tannehill, but there's a lot to like about having a quarterback that already knows the ins and outs of an offensive style and has a good relationship with Justin Jefferson. Jefferson's playing in this game. I think it comes down to the wire, but the difference is that Houston has a kicker that right now is scorching red hot in Kaimi Fairbairn, averaging over 54 yards per kick, just set a record with the longest kick of the season and the most consecutive 50-yard plus kicks to begin a season. I'm sticking with the Texans. I'm taking them at -2.5. I think they're going to be able to pull away late. They just have an offense that I think is meant to be in the playoffs, where Minnesota, they're still a little bit injury prone.
I'm with you. It should be an interesting game just because I still don't know what to make of the Vikings. Like, they beat the Giants, who stink. The Niners game was impressive, but it's early in the year. It was a funky kind of weird game. We saw a lot of wacky results last week in the NFL in week 2 with Dallas losing to the Saints the way they did, the Ravens losing to the Raiders. So we'll see, but I'll give Darnold credit. He has looked good, and obviously great coaching certainly helps, and he has some awesome players. So that's an interesting game, Cole. I'll ask this question. Which 0-2 team is in the most trouble here? Because there's some really interesting games when you look at the slate here this week. You got the Jaguars playing the Bills. They're 0-2 going to Buffalo, looking at 0-3. And the Ravens are going to Dallas to play the Cowboys. Cowboys got embarrassed last week. Ravens had their brutal double-digit blown lead against the Raiders at home. Those two teams could be staring potentially at 0-3. The Rams are playing the Niners this week, fresh off a loss. They could be looking at 0-3. There's some crazy storylines here with some of these 0-2 teams and some real trouble this week.
I think right now the Rams feel like that one roster that can't afford a loss simply because of you start losing games like this, and then you have matchups against the Bears, Packers, Vikings, Raiders, even Seahawks for that matter. You're lost without talent right now. It's multiple players on the offensive line that have missed time. You don't have Cooper Kupp. He did avoid the IR, so that means he could be back sooner than the 4-week period. But you're still not going to have back a guy in Puka Nacua for the next several weeks. John Johnson's out right now on the IR injury, potentially out for the season. There's so many flaws. And the other part that's really bad about this, Jake, is that you lose a guy like Aaron Donald, and you're kind of asking your rookies and Braden Fisk and Jared Verse to have to step up and deliver because Kobe Turner can only do so much as a second-year player. And now with more film on him, there's a lot to really kind of go ahead and pinpoint where he's weak at. But I think Jacksonville is also a team that you have to pay attention to. After this game, they play against the Texans, then the Colts, then the Bears, then they play the Patriots. Afterwards, they get a bye, but then the Packers, Eagles, Vikings, Lions, Texans, all before they get to go ahead against another opponent in the AFC South. That's a brutal schedule, and confidence is a major element, Jake. I'm telling you, you look at the Jets last year, I think honestly that they would have been able to pull their way out if you just saw Zach Wilson get a few more conspicuous drives that ended in promising results. But the confidence was shot in that organization to where they kind of waved the white flag and said, we're punting on 2023, moving to 2024. You know that you're going to have a guy in Trevor Lawrence as your franchise quarterback. You got to make it work for him, however it may see fit. Firing the offensive coordinator, firing your head coach and Doug Peterson. But that schedule, there's not a game to where you feel entirely confident. I know Caleb Williams is playing not his best right now. I know there's a ton of Bears fans that are critically about ready to jump into like Michigan and go ahead and bring themselves to the bottom. I just feel like when you talk about this team, they're going to eventually get better. And when they get better, Jordan Love is going to get better. I think the Raiders are kind of flying under the radar in terms of they might be good, they might be bad. They're kind of like the kicks of the NFL. You know, there's better things out there, but you're not going to complain about having kicks. They could easily start off 0-7 if you're Jacksonville. And the same thing could be said about Los Angeles. I think Baltimore's in the best case scenario. They're going to find a way to get it done.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. It's the Jake Asman Football Show. Cole Thompson, NFL reporter, NFL analyst, joins us every Friday, usually to look ahead to the upcoming week of games. We'll make some picks at the end. Some other matchups here on the slate that intrigue me, Cole. And once again, you can bet on all these games by going over to BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150 for a 150% bonus. The Cincinnati Bengals are 0-2, and they're at home now on a Monday night. They got to find a way to get it done. I wanted to mention that. That will actually, I'll tease it. That'll be one of my picks I'll make coming up here. But how about the Chargers and the Steelers? I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. Justin Fields is 2-0. He hasn't been great, but he's been steady, filling in for Russell Wilson. Although, if they win on Sunday and they're 3-0, I wonder if they just stick with Fields and say, hey, Russell Wilson, thanks for the time, but you're going to sit back and watch. Chargers off to an undefeated start. They're 2-0 under Harbaugh. That's a fascinating early window game between the Chargers and the Steelers.
It's like the Steelers are inevitable. Like, I just want to believe that this is the year where it all comes crashing down and Mike Tomlin's going to finally have to admit that he's not able to say he's 500 every season. And lo and behold, defense bails him out. They're good inside the red zone when it comes to running. You're seeing Justin Fields look a little bit more comfortable in the offense underneath Arthur Smith week by week. And that might be enough. But can we talk about real fast the Chargers? They have an aura underneath Jim Harbaugh that is just, we're going to play bully football. We don't care about what happens with our quarterback taking deep shots. We're going to have to force you to stop the run. Joe Alt is literally awesome. His nickname, Control Alt Delete, is fantastic. I love the fact that he has just been a plug-and-play addition for the squad. The run game with J.K. Dobbins has been phenomenal, albeit against lesser-tier competition. But still, you're also watching as they can't stop the run, which means they open up the pass. Quentin Johnston. Hey, remember fumbling the bag last year? Just drops McGee. Yeah, he's got 2 touchdowns on the year. Most wide receivers don't get 2 touchdowns in a season, and he's got 2 tutties through 2 weeks. So that's a really interesting matchup for me. Another one that I want to talk about, though, Jake, Jordan Love potentially coming back.
Right.
2 weeks after potentially tearing his MCL. The good news was it wasn't a tear. He ended up coming back to practice this past week. They said about 90 minutes before kickoff, they'll know. I don't know if you know this, Jake, but the number 1 secondary currently in the NFL is the Tennessee Titans. If there's one giant promise that you could say Tennessee has right now, it's the fact that their secondary has been great with the additions of Quandre Diggs and L'Jarius Sneed. They also have Roger McCreary that's done a really good job since he moved inside of the slot. I think that this is one of those games where if you are Green Bay, you probably don't want to rush back Jordan Love because the pass rush is still promising and they're able to go ahead and kill this guy's confidence to where potentially he ends up making a bunch of mistakes and he then really kind of tries to do a little bit too much. He hurts himself and now you lose him for the season. So I'm really intrigued to see how they're going to go about handling Jordan Love this week. Tennessee needs a big, big win. They just fumbled the bag again against the Jets. They fumbled the bag against Chicago. They're sitting at 0-2. The last thing they want to do is not start off at 0-3. They may have to make a quarterback change. And by the way, the quarterback that they traded is now sitting on the opposing roster who might have actually been an upgrade over Will Levis. So I'm really interested to see how that game goes.
It's a really good slate of games, man. I'm excited.
Don't ever, Jacob, and ladies and gentlemen, ever say it's a boring week of college football or a boring week in the NFL. We have waited all year for this week. We are going to embrace what is week 3.
Look, I love football. I bathe in football. I make sweet and passionate love to football, but
not in front of the kids, Jacob.
College does have some dud weeks. The NFL always delivers with great matchups.
No, lies. You are a liar. You are disrespectful. There are massive games on Saturday that we could talk about. We got we got Oklahoma, we got Tennessee, we got USC, we got the Big Ten country, we got Michigan, we got NC State, we got Clemson, we got Carly in the chat. We got a lot of things going on today. It's a lot of fun.
Super chat from Zach Miller. Hey, Jake, I found a cool stat. Did you know Rodgers to Wilson touchdown throw was the first in his career by a first-round receiver? I did. We talked about it on the show. It's a wild stat, though, Zach. It really is. Rodgers has thrown 480 touchdowns or something like that, and last night was the first time he threw one to a first-round wide receiver.
Beautiful. Isn't that just so exciting that now you can talk about him in a positive light? He actually embraces first-round wide receivers. Never had one before, but now he gets to say, oh, look at me. I get one.
Let's see. There's just so many good games, man. I mean, we mentioned the 49ers and Rams. Lions, Cardinals all of a sudden is intriguing after how Kyler has played. I mean, Sunday night, Chiefs, Falcons, I was like, really, the Falcons? And then you saw them going to Philly and steal that win the other night. So, it is a great slate. So I'm very excited.
Bangs is back, buddy. Kirko Bangs down in the ATL is crushing it.
Yep. No, it was a big-time drive by him. It is an exciting slate. I am pumped up. I'm glad the Jets won on Thursday, so I could sit back, I could relax, I could watch NFL Red Zone, and I'm on the radio on ESPN New York from 3 to 6:30. So I'll be breaking down the games in real time. It'll be a lot of fun.
And on Friday, you can watch Nebraska take on Illinois, a top 25 matchup. Exactly. Great weeks of college football, and also Syracuse versus Stanford. Great game ahead.
Don't encourage that.
Fran Brown killed it, buddy.
All right,
let's go.
Let's get to the picks. You ready, Cole?
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the show, Cole and I make 3 picks against the spread. We use the BetUS sportsbook lines. You can make all your picks over at BetUS. They don't just have NFL. They got every sport. They have prop bets, future bets, player props. Check it out. BetUS, where the game begins, and use promo code YouTube150 so you can take advantage of a 150% sign-up bonus. Cole, you are crushing it. For those tuning in late, Cole Thompson's red hot to start the season. He went 2-1 in week 1. 2-1 in week 2, so he's 5-1 overall. Me, not so much. 1-2 in week 1, 1-2 in week 1 and week 2. I went 1-2, I should say. So I'm 2-4 overall. So I gotta get rolling here. But Cole, you are the champ of the previous week, so you could start us off with your first pick.
Well, you and I both are picking a game. I don't know if we're picking the same team, so let's talk about it. It is that Monday night matchup between Washington and Cincinnati. I think the Cincinnati wins. I think that having back a T. Higgins in this game is going to be beneficial. He was back at practice this week. It seems like he's on the trajectory to play. Cam Taylor-Britt has overnight become one of my favorite players simply because if he's not afraid to put his money where his mouth is, whenever he talks crap, he makes a play on the back end, and it ends up being a massive, massive event in Cincinnati. But Who Dey Nation is not covering. I'm taking Washington with the points at +7. I think that you're going to see Jaden Daniels kind of take that next step forward. I like what we've seen on the ground and pound attack from both Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson. I don't know who's going to step up as that number 1 receiver. Can Terry McLaurin finally have his breakout game? He always starts off slow. I think that this defense has been better than advertised underneath Dan Quinn. So ultimately, you are going to see Cincinnati come away with the dub, but I think this goes down to the fourth quarter. Hammer that +7 in my opinion for Washington.
Opposite play, baby.
Yes!
We're going head to head. This could either be good or, well, it could be like how the first 2 weeks have gone for me, which is not great. I just think the Bengals turned the corner last week. They're going to get Higgins back, it sounds like. Burrow looked like Burrow last week. Close game. No shame in losing to the Chiefs. I just can't picture the Bengals, 1, being 0-3, and 2, I just don't think Washington's defense is going to be able to stop Cincinnati. They're not any good. I think the Bengals win, and they cover that 7-point number that you have, Cole. That is my first pick, so we're going head-to-head to start it off in week 3.
I am so excited. I was praying that you were going to take them. That way we could just have a head-to-head. Let's go to my next game. Tampa Bay versus Denver. I'll tell you what. Sometimes you just got to go ahead and admit I was wrong, and he was good. And that's where you are right now with Baker Mayfield. So far, he has led back-to-back game-winning securing drives. He has dominated his first 2 weeks, marched on into Ford Field, gets the upset over Detroit. I think that Tampa continues that hot hand. There is something about the relationship with him and Chris Godwin that is bafflingly awesome. You still have a security blanket when it comes to Mike Evans. I still feel like that the run game can be promising. I have seen nothing that feels like this Denver team is going to be able to slow down Tampa's offense. By the way, Baker Mayfield currently number 2 in QB in passer rating with a 129.1, number 2 in passing yards per game at 10.7, leads the NFL, number 2 in the NFL in passing yards per game at 237. I cannot wait to watch as Baker Mayfield continues his Renaissance revival as being that quarterback that people doubted after being traded away to Carolina, and now he is just getting warmed up. I think it's a special season down in Tampa. I'm taking them at -6.5.
Wow. Okay, so you're gonna lay. It's actually 6 right now. I'll give you a better number. I'm on
Okay, cool.
BetUS
So
right
either
now.
way, I'm taking 6.
So Broncos at Bucks. Cole is taking the favorite, laying the 6 for his second pick. All right, here's my second pick. Ready? This is just I don't think this team's going to be 0-3. I think they have played well enough to win one of their first 2 games, and they haven't been able to do it just yet. I'm taking the Indianapolis Colts here. They're playing the Chicago Bears. I don't like what I've seen from Caleb Williams so far. I think he's struggling like most rookies do. It's a pick 'em right now at BetUS, so this is just a straight up look. Colts in a spot where they're at home. I think their crowd will still be into it. They still got a season to play for. I like the Colts just to beat the Bears and get their first win of the season. That's my second game.
Listen, good game. I almost thought about it, but I am thinking about a team that is also currently 0-2 that has to get back on the right track. I don't think that they do. I'm going to take the Cowboys at +1.5. Or what's the line at currently right now? +1?
Let me check the latest up-to-date lines here at BetUS Sportsbook. Let's see. Cowboys. Where are the Cowboys? I can't find it. There's too many games.
There's so many games.
+1. Cowboys
yeah,
+1.
So I'm going to take the Cowboys at +1. I think that last week what you saw was once again just a really resurging version of this of the Saints team that maybe we have undervalued just a tad. Clint Kubiak seems to be speaking the same language as Derek Carr. Also, there's something about death taxes and an election year where Derek Carr seems to go off 2016, 2020, 2024. I should have put money down on him winning the MVP. But I think the Cowboys are better than what was advertised last week. I know that CeeDee Lamb didn't practice. I would be very shocked if he doesn't play in this game. And yes, I know the run game is feeble, but I do simply believe that this is going to be a much more stable opportunity inside the red zone to attack. I haven't been really impressed with that second level of coverage from Baltimore. I think that you're going to watch this end up going down to the wire, but ultimately, I think the Cowboys win on a game-winning field goal. That means they're going to beat the +1 point. I'm going to take the Cowboys at home.
Cowboys at home. Oh, baby. All right, Cole. My last pick. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Make some noise. Woohoo. All right, here we go. My last game is simply following logic that I used earlier. I have a tough time seeing this team start 0-3. Give me the Ravens. We're going head-to-head again.
We're going head-to-head this week. Oh, this is good. Let's go.
Ravens will find a way to defeat the Dallas Cowboys. Lamar Jackson will not be 0-3. Not up in here. So we're going head-to-head. I like the Ravens to cover the 1-point spread, win the game in Dallas. So once again, Cole, your 3 games are, go ahead.
Washington +7. Tampa. God, that was a lot to get out of me. Tampa -6. Cowboys +1. Immediately feel that way. By the way, Jake, your Ravens are going to be 0-3. Lamar Jackson is going to be lamenting in his sorrows about being an MVP and never a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And Dak Prescott's going to earn the respect that he has never gotten all across this damn NFL. Eventually, people will realize he is a good quarterback.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Week 3 picks brought to you by BetUS. You could fade my picks or fade Cole's picks, although Cole's been good, so maybe you tail his picks. Don't fade him. All right, some super chats here before we wrap. Felix writes in, if Allen continues to get playing time, could you see him possibly winning Rookie of the Year? Look, at Braylon Allen keeps balling. He'll be in the conversation. There's no doubt.
There's no way that you're not going to say he's not in the conversation. I just feel like that there's going to be that separation at some point, whether it be a Malik Neighbors, a Marvin Harrison Jr., whether it be potentially a Brock Bowers, who currently leads all tight ends in receiving yards, yards after catch, targets, and receptions. He may end up being the guy. I think that also you got to consider the quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels might get hot at some point. Caleb Williams might get hot at some point. Allen's going to have a really good season. I just don't believe he's going to get that year that ends up separating himself for Rookie of the Year.
Dean says, happy belated birthday, Jake. Thank you, Dean.
Yeah.
I'd love to attend the EC events, but I'm towards the other coast. Drink one for me. Go Jets. Cheers to you, Dean. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Dean.
Yeah,
I got my Fireman Ed lager right here. I'm going to be drinking at 3 p.m. Eastern when Fireman Ed comes on the Jet YouTube show I do.
How was his birthday last night?
I'd imagine it was pretty fun.
Wait, did you not go to his birthday party?
I did before I went to tailgate. And
That's what I'm saying. How was his birthday party?
It was a great time, man. Ed's
Yeah,
the
of course
best.
it was.
He's the
Fireman
best.
Ed is the best.
He's a big fan of yours, by the way.
Is he really? That actually made me happy.
No, I made that up. I'm sorry.
God damn, you suck. You're the worst. Why do I keep coming on this show just to get my hopes up to be destroyed in 5 minutes?
All right, Cole. Any final thoughts? Where can people find you?
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting week in college football. I'm going to talk about my own thing. I don't care what you have to say. College football is back. We're going to have massive matchups that could decide the Big Ten, decide the ACC. Fran Brown is cooking, wheeling, and dealing right now for Syracuse. But in the NFL, this is the week where I think is the final dress rehearsal. I always consider it week 3 in college and in the NFL. You dot the I's, you cross the T's. Who do you want to be as a program? Who do you want to be as a situation? I believe right now that this is where you're going to truly see those teams kind of contend. You saw the Jets last night. Pull away, show who they are, what they can be. What you can also see is a ton of other people kind of find their way, their own direction. What will they be for the rest of the year? Is this actually time to buy into the New Orleans Saints? I believe yes. And last but certainly not least, Gator, you love me. Go ahead and suck it.
I think that was well said.
Of course it was.
I think.
I
Hit
think.
the like button if you're tuning in live. It is the Jake Asman Football Show. Once again, I want to give a huge shout out to BetUS Sportsbook for being our sponsor. Make sure you guys take advantage of their special. It's an unreal special. 150% sign up bonus. Code YouTube 150 to take advantage of that bonus today. Cole, you asked for a little Fireman Ed. So on the way out of here, I will give you all a Fireman Ed Jet chant from his birthday party yesterday before the tailgate began at Jet Live Stadium. He's Cole Thompson. My name is Jake Asman. This has been the Jake Asman Football Show. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. We love you all, and we will talk to you when we talk to you. I don't know. I guess you next Friday. Maybe.
Yeah, I say Friday.
Probably
Friday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Whenever you
thinking
see
about
you. Yeah,
Yep.
whenever you're around, whatever.
My brain's not functioning. I've had no sleep.
Can you go take a nap, please?
I'll sleep when I'm dead. Go Jets, everybody. Thanks for watching
Oh,
the Jake
God bless.
Asman Football Show.